For 19 years, she lived with wolves. When people found her, they couldn't believe their eyes. In the vast wilderness of Alaska's Denali National Park, where the northern lights dance across star-filled skies and ancient forests stretch endlessly towards snow-capped peaks, an extraordinary story unfolded, one that would challenge our understanding of human resilience and the bonds between species. This is the story of Sarah Jensen, whose life would become a testament to the remarkable capacity for survival and the unexpected forms that family can take. The story begins in 1979, when David and Marie Jensen, two passionate wildlife researchers, made the bold decision to establish their lives in one of America's last true wildernesses. David, a rugged man with kind eyes and a PhD in wildlife biology from the University of Michigan, had dedicated his career to studying wolf behavior. His wife Marie, equally accomplished with degrees in animal behavior and environmental science from Yale, shared his passion for understanding these magnificent creatures that had been so misunderstood throughout human history. The Jensens weren't just any researchers. They were pioneers in the field of wolf behavior studies, known for their controversial approach of living in close proximity to their subjects. Their methods were sometimes criticized by the academic community, but their findings were revolutionary. They discovered complex social behaviors and pack dynamics that had never been documented before, largely because they were willing to spend years observing the same wolf packs in their natural habitat. Their home was a sturdy log cabin, built with their own hands over the course of a summer, situated in a remote valley that served as a natural corridor for wolf packs following caribou migrations. The cabin was simple but well-equipped for their research. Solar panels provided basic electricity, a satellite phone offered emergency communication, and a small greenhouse attached to the south wall helped supplement their food supplies during the long winters. It was in this extraordinary setting that Marie discovered she was pregnant in the spring of 1978. Many expected the couple to return to civilization, but they saw it differently. "Our child will have the most unique education possible," Marie wrote in her journal. "They will learn not just about nature, but from nature itself." Sarah Jensen was born on a crisp autumn morning in 1979, with only her father serving as midwife. From her earliest days, she was immersed in a world few humans ever experience. Her lullabies were wolf howls echoing through the valley. Her playground was the vast Alaskan wilderness, and her first friends were the wild creatures that visited the meadow near their cabin. David and Marie documented Sarah's early years meticulously, seeing an opportunity to study how a child might develop in such close proximity to nature. Their journals, recovered years later, painted a fascinating picture of a child who seemed to straddle two worlds effortlessly. By age 3, Sarah could identify different wolf vocalizations and understand their basic meanings. By 4, she could read wolf tracks as easily as other children read picture books. At 5, she showed an uncanny ability to predict wolf pack movements based on subtle environmental cues that even her experienced parents sometimes missed. The Jensens had developed a special relationship with one particular pack, led by a remarkable gray female they named Luna. Luna's pack had claimed the valley as their territory shortly after the Jensens built their cabin, and over the years, an unusual trust had developed between the wolves and the human observers. The pack grew accustomed to the Jensens' presence, allowing them to observe from increasingly close distances. Luna herself seemed especially intrigued by young Sarah. Marie's journals described several instances where the wolf would sit at the edge of the clearing, watching the child play. "There's something extraordinary in the way Luna observes Sarah," Marie wrote. "It's not the cautious attention she gives us adults, but something more maternal." Today, she brought her own pups closer to the cabin than ever before, as if wanting them to know Sarah's scent. The Jensens were careful, of course. Despite their close relationship with the wolves, they never forgot these were wild animals. They taught Sarah strict rules about maintaining safe distances and reading warning signs in wolf behavior. But they also taught her to understand and respect these magnificent creatures in a way few humans ever have. Life fell into a pattern for the unusual family. Summers were spent tracking wolf packs, documenting their behavior, and maintaining their self-sufficient lifestyle. Winters were for analyzing data, writing research papers, and homeschooling Sarah. They made periodic trips to the nearest town for supplies, but these were rare. Their life was in the wilderness with the wolves. Then came the winter of 1985, when Sarah was 6 years old. That January was particularly harsh, with temperatures dropping to record lows and snowstorms following one after another. The Jensens were tracking a new pack that had entered their study area, believing there might be conflict with Luna's pack over territory. Their research had never documented how wolves resolved territorial disputes in such extreme weather conditions. On January 15th, David and Marie prepared for what they expected to be a routine observation trip. They packed their usual gear: cameras, notebooks, emergency supplies, and their sturdy snowmobile. Sarah, as always during their shorter research excursions, would stay safely in the cabin. She was well-trained in emergency procedures and had enough supplies to last several days. "We'll be back before dark, sweetheart," Marie promised, helping Sarah arrange her books and activities for the day. "Remember the rules? Don't go outside unless it's an emergency," Sarah recited dutifully. "Keep the fire fed but not too big. If something happens, use the satellite phone to call for help." She had repeated these rules countless times before, never imagining this would be the day they became critically important. The Jensens headed out into the crystal-clear morning, their snowmobile's track cutting through the fresh powder. They never returned. What exactly happened to David and Marie Jensen remains a mystery to this day. The leading theory, based on evidence found months later, suggests they may have encountered a crevasse hidden by snow. The snowmobile was eventually found partially buried in a deep ravine, but the Jensens' bodies were never recovered. Sarah waited in the cabin as the weather deteriorated into one of the worst storms in recent memory. Hours stretched into days as rescue efforts were delayed by the dangerous conditions. By the time search teams finally reached the remote cabin, they found it empty, with no trace of the 6-year-old girl. The search for Sarah Jensen became one of the largest in Alaskan history. Teams of volunteers combed the wilderness for months. The story made national headlines: "Child of Wolf Researchers Lost in Wilderness." Search continues for Alaska's lost girl. Hope fades for missing child. But as winter deepened and no trace was found, the search was gradually scaled back. What no one knew then was that Sarah was alive, and her extraordinary journey was just beginning. When the food began running low and her parents didn't return, Sarah made a decision that would seem incredible to most but made perfect sense given her unique upbringing. She knew Luna's pack stayed in the valley during winter, and she knew their patterns. In her young mind, following the wolves seemed like the most logical choice for survival. Sarah prepared as her parents had taught her. She put on all her warm clothing, packed what little food remained in a small bag, and took her father's spare knife. Then she followed the wolf tracks she could see from the cabin's window. It took her 2 days to find Luna's pack. By then, she was cold, hungry, and frightened, but she remembered everything her parents had taught her about wolf behavior. She approached carefully, using the body language she had learned through years of observation. Luna recognized her scent. The pack had known it since her birth, and something remarkable happened. Instead of chasing her away, the wolves accepted her presence. Luna, who had watched Sarah grow from infancy, seemed to recognize her distress. The alpha female approached the shivering child and lay down nearby, offering warmth and protection. It was the beginning of an extraordinary adoption that would challenge our understanding of both wolf and human behavior. The first year was the hardest. Sarah survived primarily on scraps from the wolves' kills and what edible plants she could find, knowledge she had learned from her parents. Her clothes gradually wore away, replaced by crude garments she fashioned from animal hides, using skills she'd watched her mother demonstrate during their wilderness survival lessons. She learned to move with the pack, to understand their complex social dynamics not just as an observer but as a participant. Luna became her surrogate mother, teaching her wolf ways of survival. Sarah learned to help with hunts, using her human intelligence to drive prey toward the waiting pack. She learned to dig dens for shelter, to find water in frozen landscapes, and to navigate the vast wilderness using the stars and landmarks as guides. Her human memories didn't fade entirely, but they transformed. The cabin became a distant dream, her parents' faces blurred like reflections in disturbed water. The wolf pack became her reality, their social bonds her new family structure. The transformation wasn't just behavioral. Sarah's body adapted to her new life in remarkable ways. She developed incredible stamina, able to run for hours with the pack. Her sense of smell and hearing sharpened dramatically. She learned to move almost silently through the forest, to read the subtle signs of weather changes, and to sense danger from miles away. Each season brought new challenges and lessons. Spring meant new pups, and Sarah learned to help care for them, regurgitating food for them as the other pack members did. Summer brought the challenge of hunting in heat, teaching her to conserve energy and find cooling shelters. Fall was for building fat reserves, teaching her which prey was most valuable. Winter was for survival, teaching her the pack's most crucial lessons about cooperation and perseverance. Luna remained her primary protector and teacher throughout these early years. The alpha female seemed to understand Sarah's unique needs, often bringing her softer parts of the kills that were easier for human teeth to manage, and showing extra patience in teaching her wolf ways. When other wolves might have grown frustrated with Sarah's human limitations, Luna would intervene, maintaining her place in the pack hierarchy. As years passed, Sarah grew from a lost child into something unprecedented, a human who had truly become part of a wolf pack. She developed her own role within the pack structure, neither alpha nor omega but something unique. Her human intelligence, combined with wolf instincts, made her valuable to the pack's survival. She could predict weather patterns better than the wolves, remember seasonal hunting grounds from year to year, and even use her remaining human knowledge to help the pack avoid dangerous areas where hunters might be present. The pack's territory was vast, covering hundreds of square miles that they traversed in recurring patterns following prey migrations. They avoided human settlements instinctively, though occasionally Sarah would catch glimpses of distant cabins or hunting camps. These sightings stirred something in her memory, but the wolf world had become so completely her reality that she felt no urge to approach them. Local indigenous people occasionally spotted her with the pack and left offerings of food and clothing, recognizing something sacred in her existence. They called her Amarok's daughter and wove her into their stories, but they never attempted to capture or rescue her, understanding that she had become something different, not quite human, not quite wolf, but something in between. Luna grew old as the years passed, but she remained the pack's alpha female well beyond the typical age, her experience and wisdom keeping her in power. Sarah learned to help care for her aging surrogate mother, bringing her food when hunting became difficult and staying close to share warmth during harsh weather. When Luna finally passed, after nearly 10 years of caring for Sarah, it marked a profound transition in Sarah's life. But by then, Sarah was fully integrated into the pack. Luna's daughter, who Sarah thought of as her sister, became the new alpha female, and the pack's acceptance of Sarah continued. She had proven her worth to their survival countless times over, and her presence had become as natural to them as any other pack member. The years continued to pass, and Sarah grew into adulthood in the wilderness. Her human features remained, but her movements, behavior, and understanding of the world had become predominantly wolf-like. She could still think in human ways when needed, solving problems with human logic, but her emotional responses and social interactions were almost entirely wolf-based. Then, in the summer of 2004, humanity rediscovered her. James Morrison, a veteran wildlife photographer, was working on a documentary about wolf behavior in Denali. He and his team had been tracking a particular pack for several weeks when they noticed something extraordinary in their footage: a human figure moving among the wolves with natural ease. At first, Morrison thought it was a trick of light or distance. But as they gathered more footage through their long-range lenses, the truth became undeniable. They were seeing a human being who moved with wolves as if born to their pack. The discovery created immediate excitement and controversy in the scientific community. Dr. Elizabeth Harper, a leading expert in feral child cases and animal behavior, was called in to consult. When she saw the footage, she immediately recognized the implications. "What we're seeing here is unprecedented," she reported to her colleagues. "This isn't just a case of human survival in the wilderness. This appears to be genuine integration into a wolf pack social structure." If this is who we think it is, Sarah Jensen. She's been living with wolves for 19 years, longer than any documented case of human-wild animal cohabitation. The challenge now was how to approach Sarah without causing her to flee or disrupting the pack structure that had kept her alive all these years. Dr. Harper developed a careful plan based on her understanding of both wolf behavior and cases of feral children. The first step was gradual habituation. For 2 months, the research team maintained a distant presence, allowing both Sarah and the wolves to become accustomed to their observation. They were careful to never interfere with the pack's activities or approach too closely. Then they began the process of attracting Sarah's curiosity. They set up camp within view of the pack's territory and went about human activities, cooking food, speaking quietly, moving in human ways. They hoped to trigger Sarah's buried human memories. The breakthrough came unexpectedly. Dr. Harper had brought recordings of Marie Jensen's voice from old research videos found in the abandoned cabin. One evening, as the pack was resting nearby, she played the recording. Sarah's reaction was immediate and profound. She lifted her head, eyes wide, body tense with recognition. For several minutes, she remained frozen, listening to her mother's voice describe wolf behavior from 2 decades ago. Then, slowly, she approached the camp. The moment was captured on video and later became famous. Sarah, covered in animal hides and matted hair, moving with a wolf's fluid grace but with undeniably human purpose, approaching Dr. Harper's extended hand. When she was close enough, she did something that proved she retained some human memories. She reached out and touched the recorder, then pointed to her ear, clearly requesting to hear more. The process of reintegrating Sarah into human society was complex and delicate. Dr. Harper established a semi-permanent camp near the pack's territory, creating a space where Sarah could explore her human heritage while maintaining her connection to the wolves. The pack, showing remarkable adaptation, accepted this new arrangement, often camping near the researchers' tents. Sarah's first attempts at human speech were difficult. She could make wolf-like vocalizations with incredible nuance, but her human language skills had largely disappeared. However, her capacity for language hadn't been lost. It had just been redirected. Once she began to relearn English, her progress was remarkable. Within 6 months, she could communicate basic needs in English, though she preferred to express complex ideas through a combination of words, wolf-like vocalizations, and body language. Her insights into wolf behavior, once she could share them, were revolutionary. Wolves don't just communicate with sound, she explained in one of her first recorded interviews. They speak with their whole bodies, with scent, with tiny movements we can't even see. Their language is so complex, so complete. They don't need words like we do. The decision to bring Sarah back to civilization was not made lightly, and ultimately, it was her choice. As she regained human language and understanding, she began to express curiosity about the human world. But she insisted on maintaining her connection to the pack that had been her family for so long. A unique arrangement was developed. A small research station was built near her old family cabin, providing Sarah with a base for gradual reintegration while allowing her to continue spending time with the wolf pack. The wolves, showing remarkable adaptability, accepted this new situation, often camping near the station as they had near Dr. Harper's tent. Sarah's transition challenged every assumption about human adaptation and capability. She retained many wolf-like behaviors, a preference for raw meat, a tendency to communicate through body language, an incredible sense of smell and spatial awareness. But she also showed remarkable ability to relearn human social skills and behaviors. Her story attracted worldwide attention, but Sarah was selective about who she would interact with. She agreed to share her experiences only if they would benefit wolf conservation and research. Her unique perspective provided unprecedented insights into wolf behavior, social structures, and intelligence. The scientific papers she co-authored with Dr. Harper revolutionized our understanding of wolf behavior. She described complex social interactions that had never been documented before, explained subtle communication methods that researchers had missed, and provided new insights into wolf intelligence and emotional capacity. But perhaps her most important contribution was helping to change public perception of wolves. Through her story and her work, She showed the world that these animals, often feared and misunderstood, were capable of extraordinary compassion and adaptation. Today, Sarah Jensen continues her work as a bridge between two worlds. She splits her time between wildlife research and conservation advocacy, using her unique experience to promote understanding and protection of wolves and their habitats. She has established the Jensen Wolf Research Foundation, which funds studies of wolf behavior and supports conservation efforts across North America. The pack that raised her has long since passed on, but their descendants still roam the Denali wilderness. Sarah maintains a special connection with these wolves, who seem to recognize something familiar in her scent and behavior. When she returns to conduct research, they allow her closer access than any other human, enabling her to continue documenting their behavior and social structures. The cabin where her extraordinary journey began has been preserved and expanded into a small research station, now serving as a base for scientists studying wolf behavior and human-wildlife interactions. Sarah frequently stays there during her research trips, finding a deep comfort in the place where her two worlds intersect. Her reintegration into human society has provided valuable insights into human cognitive development and adaptability. While most feral child cases end tragically, with individuals unable to fully reintegrate into human society, Sarah's case is different. Researchers attribute this partly to her age when she joined the wolves, old enough to have developed basic language and cognitive skills, and partly to the unique circumstances of her upbringing by educated parents who had already introduced her to both human and wolf behavior. Dr. Harper's extensive studies of Sarah's adaptation have led to new understandings of human psychological resilience. Sarah's case shows us that human adaptability is far greater than we previously believed, she wrote in her groundbreaking paper. Her brain effectively became bilingual in the languages of two species, and she developed a dual consciousness that allowed her to be both human and wolf. Sarah's physical capabilities remain extraordinary. Even years after her return to human society, she retains enhanced senses of smell and hearing, exceptional night vision, and remarkable endurance. Medical studies have shown adaptations in her muscle fiber composition and sensory processing that seem to have developed during her years with the wolves. Perhaps most remarkably, she has maintained her ability to communicate with wolves. She can still interpret their vocalizations and body language with uncanny accuracy, and even more surprisingly, can communicate back in ways they understand. This skill has proved invaluable in her conservation work, allowing her to predict and prevent wolf-human conflicts, and to better understand wolf behavior in various situations. Sarah's personal life has taken its own unique path. While she has adapted well to human society in many ways, she maintains what she calls her wolf nature. She lives alone in a cabin near Denali, though she regularly interacts with researchers and conservationists. She has never married, explaining that her concept of family was permanently shaped by her years with the pack. Human relationships are different, she once explained in a rare personal interview. Wolves form deep, lifetime bonds with their pack members. Every wolf knows its role, its place, its responsibilities to the others. Human relationships seem more complicated, less instinctive to me. I understand them, but I don't feel them the same way I feel wolf relationships. Her work has expanded beyond just wolf research and conservation. She has become an important voice in discussions about wilderness preservation and human-wildlife coexistence. Her unique perspective has influenced environmental policy and wildlife management practices across North America. We need to stop seeing wilderness as something separate from ourselves, she often says in her lectures. The wolves taught me that survival depends on understanding your place in the larger ecosystem. Every creature, every plant, every weather pattern plays its part. Humans aren't separate from this system, we're part of it. Sarah has written several books about her experiences, though she prefers to focus on what her story can teach us about wolves rather than on the sensational aspects of her life. Her first book, Running with the Pack, Lessons from My Wolf Family, became an international bestseller and has been translated into 27 languages. The proceeds from her books go directly to wolf conservation efforts. She has also established educational programs that bring carefully selected groups of students to study wolves in their natural habitat. These programs emphasize both scientific observation and emotional connection with nature, teaching young people to understand and respect wildlife rather than fear it. The scientific impact of Sarah's case continues to grow. Her experiences have provided new insights into wolf social behavior, particularly regarding their capacity for adoption and acceptance of outsiders. The pack's willingness to accept and protect a human child has led to new theories about wolf intelligence and social flexibility. Research based on Sarah's observations has revealed previously unknown aspects of wolf behavior, including complex decision-making processes within packs, sophisticated teaching behaviors among adult wolves with pups, and elaborate communication systems that go far beyond what was previously documented. Her work has also influenced the field of conservation biology. Her intimate knowledge of wolf behavior has led to more effective conservation strategies, particularly in areas where wolves and human settlements interface. She has helped develop new approaches to preventing livestock predation that work with wolf instincts rather than against them. But perhaps the most profound impact of Sarah's story has been on our understanding of what it means to be human. Her experience challenges our assumptions about the boundaries between human and animal consciousness, suggesting that these boundaries might be more fluid than we once believed. "I didn't lose my humanity when I joined the pack," she explains. "I expanded it. I learned there are many ways to be human, and some of them look more like being a wolf. What matters isn't whether you walk on 2 legs or 4, but how you relate to the world and those around you." The larger significance of Sarah's story continues to unfold. As climate change and habitat loss increasingly force humans and wildlife into closer contact, her insights into coexistence become ever more relevant. Her experience offers hope that humans and wildlife can adapt to each other in unexpected ways, given the chance. Today, at age 45, Sarah continues her work with undiminished passion. She spends several months each year in the field, studying wolf packs and training new researchers in her methods of observation and interaction. The rest of her time is divided between writing, lecturing, and advocating for wolf conservation. The wolves that were once her family have left an indelible mark on her life and on our understanding of human-wildlife relationships. Their acceptance of a lost human child demonstrated a capacity for cross-species empathy that we are only beginning to understand. In return, Sarah's lifetime of work has helped ensure their survival and changed how humans perceive these remarkable animals. As she often reminds her audiences, "The wolves didn't just save my life. They taught me a different way of living it. They showed me that family isn't defined by species or blood, but by the bonds we forge in facing life's challenges together. Every day, I work to honor their gift by helping others understand and protect these extraordinary creatures." Sarah's story remains a powerful reminder of human resilience, the complexity of animal consciousness, and the profound bonds that can form between species. It challenges us to reconsider our relationship with the natural world and suggests that perhaps the line between human and animal is not as clear as we once thought. As we face growing environmental challenges and increasing pressure on wild spaces, Sarah Jensen's extraordinary journey offers hope and insight. It reminds us that adaptation and coexistence are possible, even in the most unlikely circumstances, and that sometimes the greatest teachers come with 4 legs and fur. Her legacy will likely inspire generations of wildlife researchers and conservationists, while her unique perspective continues to shape our understanding of both human nature and wolf behavior. In bridging 2 worlds, human and wolf, Sarah Jensen has helped us understand both better, and in doing so, has made an invaluable contribution to both species' survival.